We know it's tough out there for millennials, but in one area, it's even tougher than we had thought. So with the cost of housing soaring, with the cost of rent soaring, more and more millennials are moving back home. It is way more common than you perhaps think, and it's actually getting worse. So let me break it down for you, the raw numbers. Nearly 16% of US millennials lived with their parents in 2022. That's a significant number, but it actually varies quite a bit based on where in the country you are. So if we break it down by city, you can see that in some areas, and California is very widely represented in this, it can be as high, like in Riverside, California, as 28.3% as of 2022. Of course, the last year that we have data for. It's not just California. You got Brownsville, Texas is there represented as well. For some reason, Los Angeles doesn't rate as being in California, but that is there too. And the numbers can go lower in some areas, but even in like the 163rd ranking city, that is Springfield, it's still at 6.2%. That seems kind of high. And the number has jumped, by the way. This is age 25 to 34, living at home. In just 2 decades, it has jumped 87%. That is a massive increase. And I just want to focus on that top 5 right now. 25 to 30% of millennials are not fresh out of college. They are not, like, I know that this is going to bother some of you. I'm a millennial, actually. Now I'm one of the older millennials, but that's a lot of people out there. A lot of people who perhaps had been renting or had aspirations of buying a home, are years into their career and are still being forced to live with their parents, perhaps having to move back in with their parents. This is a massive social and economic thing that we're seeing here, Sharon. What do you think about it?
I think it's just terrible. And I don't know how we turn back the hands of time. I remember when my sister was fresh out of college and she started a new job, and she was able to buy this cute townhome. And she wasn't making a ton of money, but that's what she was able to do, save up a little down payment. I'm sure parents helped a tiny bit, but she was able to feel like an adult and go on, get married, have kids, whatever. And what we're really doing, it's like this vicious arrested development where people who are born, have dreams, have goals, they don't really even they're working hard, but they're not able to achieve even the most basic things that when you grow up, you're told this is the American dream. I don't know how we go backwards from this after decades of these policies.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it can't just be one thing. I mean, obviously, look, pay needs to go up. Interest rates need to go down. The housing supply needs to be increased. Companies that have bought up huge quantities of real estate need to be incentivized to put it back on the market. It is a lot that needs to be done, but it needs to be done. And it needs to be prioritized because things are rough out there. Look at the generational divide in home ownership. So 55% of millennials in 2023 owned a home. That was slightly up from 2022. And honestly, it's a little bit higher than I would have thought of. But remember, these are people who've been working for years at this point. And in prior generations, that number would be significantly higher. Adult Gen Zers is at 26%. And that is not going up year on year. And we shouldn't be super surprised by that. The cost of home ownership has gone up. Let's see, we've got estimated housing payments. This is mortgage, insurance, and property tax, sort of the base thing that you have to pay. There's other costs too, but that's the base. That has reached $3,000 per month early in 2023, pricing out 2.4 million renters from home buying that last year. The estimated annual income needed to afford a median home ownership rose 20% to $117,000. That is a significant amount of money. I'm sure many people think of that as being like, you are set when you get to that pay. But that's just median home ownership ability. And you can see the percentage of renters who are cost burdened by their rent. You can see the percentage has broken down there. And we know in something like LA, it's absolutely wild. Not only the rise in home costs, but the rise of rent as well. You are being squeezed in both directions. Everyone should have the chance that prior generations had to own a home. And by the way, home ownership is not for everyone. There are downsides to it theoretically. Not everyone's interested in it, but it should be their choice to not do that, not their obligation, that they should be aspiring to be able to rent somewhere near where they work rather than move in with their parents. How are we going so far backwards from prior generations? And why are more people in power not seeming to understand the difficulty that so many are facing? Sharon?
They don't want to, okay? They don't see them, sure, but they don't want to see. They don't want to look over there and have empathy for a neighbor and they frankly don't understand how this thing works. You can only go so far being one of the haves if you want to keep taking more and more and more. And now we have trillionaires and all this nonsense before something is going to course correct. And life, as you know, it's not going to be the same anymore. Just look at history. It will tell us at some point, if you don't think about your fellow man, the environment, whatever it is, there's going to be a course correction, and you're not going to like that, even if you're one of the haves.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't want the chaos that would represent. But a lot of people in power seem to think they'll be able to weather it. They don't think that it won't manifest, or if it does, they'll be protected in their gated communities or with the private security. I think it is a dangerous bet for the future, and nobody wants to experience that.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.